I was on the internet, and I was looking on Google, and I typed in strange Bible verses, and this thing that says 10 verses never preached on came up, and I decided to check it out, and it had 10 strange Bible verses. And these are things that I used to have questions on, and I want to look at them with you and hopefully get some answers from it. Okay, 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 23. This is number 10. Okay, this is about Elijah and Elijah, and Elijah just got taken away in the whirlwind. That's the background for this. It says, "Then he went up from there to Bethel, and as he was going up the road, some youths came from the city and mocked him, saying, 'Go up, you bald head, go up, you bald head.' So he turned around, and he looked at them, and he pronounced a curse on them in the name of the Lord. And 2 female bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of the youths." Okay, the comments is, George Costanza evokes the wrath of God. Haha. Alright. This is a verse that left me wondering for so long. I just never understood it. Well, let me shed some light on it now, though. The whole country was overrun with Baal worshippers, and it was the worst idolatrous time in the country. Everyone knew Elijah, and the Baal worshippers all hated him because he had all the Baal worshippers executed. These kids were probably their children or the children of some of the Baal worshippers. When they said, "Go up, you bald head," that's kind of funny, but it left me thinking that he was actually bald-headed for a while. But bald head is actually just an insult, meaning like a worthless person. Go up where? He was going up a hill or something? No, that's not what it was. He was the people were talking to him, and they were telling him to die. So what happened to Elijah? He went up. He was caught up into the whirlwind, and he went up. So they're telling him to go up, just like Elijah. They're saying, "Get sucked up into the sky like your master, you worthless thing." And then the bears came out and killed 42 of the kids. So you should understand that there were many, many more than just 42, maybe hundreds, But anyways, if the bears didn't come out, Elijah probably would have gotten killed. Elisha probably would have gotten killed by those kids. Number 9. This is Mark 14:51 and 52. It says, "A young man was following him, wearing nothing but a linen sheet over his naked body, and they seized him, but he pulled free from the linen sheet and escaped naked." Okay, the comment says, possibly the first streaker in history. This is a strange one, but it's just face value. Someone was following Jesus when he was captured, and the guards wanted to arrest him for following him, and he ran for his life. I guess people think it's weird that he ran away naked, but the guy didn't want to get arrested, so whatever. Okay, number 8. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 1. It says, "No one whose testicles are crushed or whose male organ is cut off shall enter the assembly of the Lord." I love the comments. It says we can't just be letting anyone in. We have to draw the line somewhere. And it was a pagan practice for priests to be castrated for their priesthood, and no animal that was castrated was allowed to be sacrificed either. This shows you something about Jesus, that he wasn't castrated or he wasn't a eunuch. Okay, so kind of sheds a little bit of light on that. Number 7, Genesis 38. It's 8 through 10. "Then Judah said to Onan, 'Go into your brother's wife, and perform your duty as brother-in-law to her, and raise up offspring for your brother.' So Onan knew that the offspring wouldn't be his, so when he went into his brother's wife, he wasted his seed on the ground in order not to give offspring to his brother. But what he did was displeasing in the sight of the Lord, so he took his life also." Okay. Alright, here's my comment, is a lot of strange beliefs came out because of this verse, or these verses right here. And remember that Jesus was going to come from this family line. So God was keeping a careful eye on them. One guy was evil, so he was killed. Alright, now, his brother, since that guy didn't have any children, his brother was supposed to raise up children for him so that his family name wouldn't be cut off. And his brother, who was supposed to take his place, hated him and didn't want his name to continue. However, he did want to have sex with his brother's wife. Remember that this was the line that the Messiah was supposed to come through, though, and if this guy didn't make a child for his brother, the coming of Jesus would have been prevented, so God killed the guy. Does that make sense? Alright, number 6. 1 Samuel chapter 18, 25 through 27. It's kind of a funny story, but you got to understand it, alright? Then Saul said, "Thus shall you say to David, the king desires no bride price except for 100 foreskins of the Philistines, that he may be avenged of the king's enemies." Now Saul thought to make David fall by the hands of the Philistines, and when his servants told David these words, it pleased David, when it pleased David well to be the king's son-in-law. Before the time it had expired, David arose and went along with his men and killed 200 of the Philistines, and David brought their foreskins, which were given in full number to the king, that he might become the king's son-in-law. And Saul gave him his daughter Michal for a wife. I like the comment too. It says, "How do you present a gift like that? Do you tie it in a bow on the box?" There's no question about this verse, really. The Jews were circumcised and the Gentiles weren't, and the proof that he killed the Gentiles was in the foreskin. Of course, you have to understand that Saul hated David because he knew that David was going to take his place as king, and he was going to take the kingdom away from his family. So Saul thought that this was a suicide mission and it was going to get David killed, and that's why he commanded him to go out and to kill these Philistines and cut off their you-know-what and bring them back to him. Alright, number 5. This is Exodus chapter 4, verse 24 and 25. "Now it came to pass, it came about at the lodging place on the way that the Lord met him and sought to put him to death. Then Zipporah took a flint and cut off her son's foreskin and threw it at Moses' feet. She said, 'You're indeed a bridegroom of blood to me.'" Comments says, "I imagine that the son was screaming in pain and Moses was just kind of staring at it in disgust." Okay, now what happened was God just met Moses in the burning bush, and then he was going to talk to Pharaoh and say, "Let my people go." Right? All right. Now, here's what you got to understand. The woman knew the reason why the Lord sought to put him to death. Okay, it wasn't a strange thing. It wasn't like, "Why are you coming to kill this kid, God?" She knew why. And it was a promise to Abraham that the uncircumcised would be cut off. That's in Genesis 17, verse 14. So God was just coming to fulfill that promise. Okay, if you read that verse and you're not understanding the promise given to Abraham, then that's not going to make any sense at all. So you got to look at the promise given to Abraham. All right, Ezekiel 16, verse 17. "You also took the fine jewelry I gave you, the jewelry made of my gold and silver, and you made for yourself male idols and engaged in prostitution with them." What did she do with her gold and silver idols? Okay, now, the translation should not be that she was prostituting her idol, or it's not like she's having sex with idols. Okay, engaged in prostitution for them, not with them, is probably what it should say. If you read the previous verses, verse 15 and so on, then you can see that she had sex with the people who came to worship those idols. So that was a pagan practice then, and there would be prostitutes who were dedicated to these idols, and worshippers would come and have sex with those prostitutes, and that was an act of worship to the idols. Right, so it's not that she was having sex with the statues. Anyway. Number 3, this is Ezekiel, verse 23, 19 through 20. "Yet she increased her prostitution, remembering the days of her youth when she was engaged in prostitution of the land in Egypt. She lusted after their genitals as large as those of donkeys, and their seminal emission was as strong as that of stallions." Okay, can't wait to hear this taught from the pulpit. Here's a better translation, I think. Look at the CEV, and it says, "She eagerly wanted to go to bed with the Egyptian men who were famous for their sexual powers." It's a very funny verse just because of how it's worded, but the original text really did compare them to having private parts as big as donkeys. Number 2, this is Judges All right, there's no question about this one. It's just a strange one. And it says, and Ehud reached with his left hand and took the sword from his right thigh and thrust it into his belly. It's a king. It's a very, very fat king. And the hilt also went in after the blade, and the fat closed over the blade, for he did not pull the sword out of his belly, and the dung came out. Okay. The comment says, apparently the sword pierced all the way through, and something unexpected came out the other side. The author felt that this was necessary detail to include. There's really no hidden meaning here. I can imagine, though, that at the end of the day, when he was telling his followers, or he's telling all the people that he came home to, what happened, he was like, I stabbed the guy, and I couldn't even pull the dagger back out because he was so fat, and then crap started coming out of him. Nasty. Okay, last one. Number 1. This was my favorite one, and for a long time I didn't understand it. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 11 and 12. If two men, a man and his countrymen, are struggling together, and the wife of one comes near to deliver her husband out of the hand of the one who's striking him, and puts out her hand and seizes his genitals, then you shall cut off her hand. You shall not show pity. Okay, comments says, my question is, why would she do this, and were there any offenders? That's exactly what I was thinking. Is it like a common thing for the girl to go straight for the guy's balls, that they would have to make a law out of it? I used to think that it was just a fight and she was trying to hurt the guy, but you need to understand it in a different way. This woman is trying to stop the man from being able to have children again. Okay, she's trying to cut off his family line. She could have attacked him anywhere else except for that area, and it would have been alright. But I want you to look at one thing. Notice that this is only between two people of the same nation. Okay, like in between two Jewish people of the same covenant and the same promise. If a foreigner was fighting with her husband, then I guess it wouldn't really matter if she came and seized his genitals as much as she wanted to. Okay, so that about wraps it up for the 10 strange verses. If you have any insight or questions, then leave a comment. And here is the website where I found all these 10 verses, and you can look at it in the description as well.